So today I'm going to talk about what it's like being married to a dreamer, an entrepreneur, a visionary, when you yourself are a practical person, a safe person, somebody who likes stability. In a word, it's challenging. It's hard to mesh those two different styles of navigating life, of working. Those work styles are different. People who are at opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to practicality. It's not that they can't be partners, they actually can make really good partners, but it really does take some conscious effort to navigate life well together when you're that different. So my husband is an entrepreneur by nature. Even though we met working in a restaurant at the time, I very quickly learned that he had an entrepreneurial spirit. And I knew ultimately that he would end up launching something or a few things that would be very successful. So currently, he's a restaurateur. He has launched a gourmet loaded French fry company that started as a food truck, and in a few months will have its own store location as well. So that's his current venture. But I have to say, it took us a while to get here. This is probably the fifth or sixth concept that he has launched just in the 11 years that we have been together. So for somebody as practical as me, after the first couple ones, you start to get a little uncomfortable. Or I'll speak for me. I started to get a little uncomfortable because the practical side of me is wondering, okay, how long are we going to do this? What's going to be the next thing? What is going to be the one thing that he sticks to, he commits to? Because we're a family here, we're a team. Of course, first off, we didn't have any kids, but then the kids came along. We've got a family to support. We have a house. We have two cardinals, all this stuff. And the practical side of me is just the questioner. So I really had to learn how to balance my response to him being a dreamer by nature and me being practical by nature, so that when he came to me with something new, I had to learn how to not immediately kill his whole vibe by attacking him with 1,000 questions, because that was my go-to. Not that I was intending to attack him, but my practical nature just wanted to be prepared for all the caveats. Well, what if this happens? And then what happens when this? And then, well, what about the last thing, that you never told me was fully done yet? So there's all these questions that are racing through my mind. And instead of me taking the forethought to not word vomit those all over him, that's what would come out. And sometimes it would lead to an argument, because that's not what he was looking for at the time. That's not what he needed. And he really just needed to be supportive, and he really just needed his life partner to say, this is exciting. I'm happy for you, babe. We are in this together. And instead I'm like, okay, what's going to happen now? So it took a while. It took a really some conscious effort and some years of me working through my own insecurities, quite frankly, because it was obvious that he was not insecure about what he was doing. But when he would tell me these things and pitch me these ideas, I was insecure, not necessarily about his ability to do it, but just about the future. It's hard for me not knowing a plan or not having a plan. And not to say that dreamers don't have a plan, but practical people have like a full-blown plan. Like, it's probably on paper, A, B, C, D, D.1, D.2. For practical people, it's very important for us to see how we're going to get from A to Z. For dreamers, they see this overall vision and their broad concept people. So to be on two opposite ends of the spectrum and to be in a union together can be interesting if both people are not aware of who they are and introspective about how they can grow in the midst of being two different people when it comes to this issue. So as I, learned that my response was maybe not the best thing for him, for us, for our family at the time, as I learned to alter that and to really think about how I could be more supportive, then things started to get a little easier. And things started to get easier for him as well. And guess what? The things started to work better once I was able to just be more supportive and offer my support and less analytical, and I'm gonna be just completely transparent, even less critical. Things got easier for us in our marriage as he navigated the business part of things, because I was there to offer support, not to tear things down with my critical and analytical nature. So I also really learned that being on two opposite ends of the spectrum with this could be a positive thing if we let it. So if you have a partner that is a dreamer and that is optimistic and that is resilient, whoever the practical person is, can really benefit from that, because it can help you step out on some things that you've been sitting on, or just you haven't had the complete vision from how to get from A to Z. Being with a dreamer helps you to see that you don't always need that. It helps you to trust yourself a little more, and it really just opens up all these other possibilities, because he taught me how to not always question myself and how to be okay with not knowing sometimes. So there's a learning opportunity for both parties there. And I also taught him that sometimes you do need to prepare for the unknown. You do need to have a backup plan in case A isn't working out, or you just need to dig a little deeper down into the details. So we have both just learned to glean from each other and move forward and build each other up, even though we're still very, very different. I don't know if I will ever be able to wear the coat of optimist, because I'm just so much of a realist by nature. I think it's very important to be honest with ourselves about who we are, what is naturally more instinctive to us. So I'm a realist by nature, but being with someone who is just optimistic by nature has really opened up a whole new world for me. That, coupled with my faith and my relationship in Christ, has really helped me to learn how to trust my ability, learn how to trust myself, and really just let go of some of that fear that stopped me from doing some things, or the fear of the unknown. I've really grown in that area, and it's because I'm married to a dreamer. So like I said, it's challenging, but it's also rewarding if we are able to really just see ourselves, know ourselves, learn more about ourselves, because that's really why we are matched with people, why certain unions just end up working out really well. It's because both parties are committed to learning more about themselves as they go, and allowing the natural change, the natural positive change that happens from being with somebody, allowing that to happen. So although it's been challenging being a practical person and married to a dreamer, it's also been extremely rewarding. And I'm sure that there'll be many more challenges in the future, because if you know anybody who's an entrepreneur, failure doesn't faze them. It's just a learning opportunity. And honestly, we really all could learn from that mentality. If something doesn't work, or if it's time for something to come to an end, we waste time by just dwelling in that and not moving on to whatever the next thing is for us. So I love my dreamer with all my heart, and I know he loves my practicality, even though he doesn't like my questions all the time. But it's been a roller coaster of these 11 years, but it's been a huge growth opportunity for me. So if you are with somebody that it differs from you in terms of the how, that's not always a bad thing. I have said this to a couple of dear friends and family members of mine that are single and maybe getting to the point where they're not sure if the person they are involved with or will be involved with. How do you know? How do you know when this is a good union, when this could be a good possibility of something that will last? And one of the things that I often say is that when you meet somebody and you have been with somebody and you have similar goals, You're both ambitious. You both have goals in terms of career and family, and just how you feel about life and where you're going in life. If those goals are similar, but the avenues and the strategies of how to get there are different, that could be a really good thing. And that's just how me and Michael are. We both have very lofty goals. We're both very driven people, but we differ very, very vastly on the how to accomplish that. And that's what makes us work. We learn from each other, we build each other up, and then we're able to accomplish these big things because we kind of learn to mesh the hows. His how with my how really is what makes it work. So that's just a little piece about my story and being married to a dreamer and the challenges and opportunities, because a challenge is really nothing more than an opportunity in disguise. And once I learned to see it like that this challenge really is an opportunity for me to grow, then I was able to be more supportive, and he was able to work more easily and more freely because I wasn't always firing questions at him. So that's that. Dream on, dreamers. Keep asking questions, practical people. Just make sure you're doing it at the appropriate time and in the appropriate way. Keep pushing. You've got this.